of Japan on his birthday and greets the Sultan of Brunei and the President of Guyana on their respective countries' National Day. A cooperation program is signed to connect higher education graduates with the labor market needs. And Authority for Public Services Regulations affirms that the new approved tariff for electricity is implemented gradually from the beginning of this year. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to His Majesty Emperor Naruhito of Japan on the occasion of his birthday. His Majesty the Sultan also sent a cable of greetings to His Majesty Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei Darussalam on the occasion of his country's National Day. And His Majesty sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, on the occasion of the Republic's National Day. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Nasser Al-Harrasi, Minister of Information, will patronize over the final match of His Majesty the Sultan Cup of Hockey 2020 in the presence of His Highnesses Sayyid Thizan bin Haitham bin Tariq, Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth, which will take place on Monday, the 1st of March. With the aim to enhance integration and harmonization of higher education outcomes, the Ministry of Education, Scientific Research and Innovation and Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones signed a cooperation program. More details in the following report by Saleh bin Khalfan Al-Rahbi.
To align the higher education, research and innovation sector with the current and future development plans of the special economic zones and free zones, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation signed a cooperation program with the Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones.
This program of cooperation aims to strengthen the relationship between the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation and, of course, the Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones. The aim of it is to provide scholarships for our students in the areas that are targeted or will benefit the job market in the Duqm area. Also to provide training and programs that will help our youth to work there. We have discussed also the possibility of establishing a private training institute.
The Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones will provide data about the economic activities and the businesses operating at the special economic zones and free zones, in addition to the needs of the industry and its prospective growth plans.
We have signed the Memorandum of Understanding today between the OPAs and the Ministry of Higher Education in order to provide a cooperation in terms of training, providing the list of opportunities and the sectors that we are attracting in the future. Moreover, it will be also a platform for the Ministry of Higher Education in order to basically understand the requirement for the future industrial and other industry that we are expecting to see in the Duqm in particular and in the other free zone as well.
As per the collaboration, the two parties will also work on establishing official channels and mechanisms to support innovative entrepreneurial ideas whether from academic staff or students, and encourage investors to transform such projects into independent startups and economically viable commercial ventures. This cooperation endeavors to foster the link between academia and industry towards enhancing scientific research, innovation, and economic diversification. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Salih Bukhalfan Al-Rahbi, Muscat.
The Authority for Public Services Regulations affirmed that the new approved tariff for electricity was implemented gradually from the beginning of this year, with the government's plan to redirect electricity and water subsidy program. Qais bin Saud Al-Zakwani, Executive Director of the Authority for Public Services Regulations, stated that the electricity sector enjoys substantial support from the government. He added that the government's support for electricity sector has reached 600 million Omani Riyals according to the latest statistics. He also added that as part of the fiscal balance plan, the authority started to implement new electricity tariff for all subscribers in order to reduce expenses and support the deserving categories. He also stated that the approved tariff for the first slab is 15 paisa per kilowatt per hour, but the applied tariff is 11 paisa per kilowatt per hour for the first month, as it will be changed gradually starting from the second month. The Committee of the National Subsidies System will determine the charges for electricity services. The Ministry of Health announced that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 139,692, while the total number of deaths reached 1,555. The total recovered cases reached 130,848, which is 94% of the total recovery rate. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients during 24 hours reached 171, among which 59 are in intensive care units. The Ministry of Health warned that the number of infections of COVID-19 cases are on the increase in the Sultanate, and hospital admissions and ICU cases are alarmingly high. Here is a report by Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai.
The total number of positive COVID-19 cases recorded in the Sultanate indicates an increase of cases. A great concern is the recent rise in both the number of people admitted to hospital with COVID-19 and the increase of number of people admitted to ICU. The data over the next few days and week will tell us more, but these increases appear to be the early signs of a potential second wave. For this reason, it is more important than ever that people adhere to preventive measures to cut off the growing number before it gains momentum for the second wave.
The main things to follow to prevent COVID-19 spread among the society are: 1. Maintain social distancing all the time. Do not be close to each other while talking, while exchanging goods or anything. Second thing, wear the mask all the time, covering your nose and mouth. And third thing, maintain personal hygiene. Wash your hands frequently with good sanitizer, with good soap for 20 seconds. People are failing to follow this kind of rules, and these failures is causing high number of COVID-19 cases. So please follow these rules all the time. Tell everybody about the same thing, and we shall 100% reduce the figures, and we will be all safe.
If numbers of positive cases and hospital admissions continue to increase over the coming week or two, it may require additional restrictions across the country, the situation of which no one favor it. Hence, let's all unite to cut off the transmission by following all necessary preventive measures.
The cultural attaché at the Embassy of the Sultanate in Washington confirmed that the Omani students in Texas stay safe from the snowstorm and cold wave that swept across the American state recently. The attaché calls the students to follow up the instructions issued by the universities and American authorities. Oman Development Bank will start from the 1st of March the implementation of entrepreneurship and knowledge programs, which is considered as the first orientation program specified for the entrepreneurships and owners of small and medium-sized enterprises this year. The program aims to increase experiences and knowledge concerned in business system and means of administration through work sessions and lectures provided by the elite consultants from the Sultanate and the GCC countries who are specialized in the field of entrepreneurship and small and medium-sized enterprises development. It's worth mentioning that the sessions and lectures will be provided via visual communication on program Zoom. Still to come in our news bulletin. Visitors to the U.S. side of Buffalo of the Niagara Falls were treated to spectacular views yesterday as a rainbow appeared overhead. Now for the international world, the Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip began its coronavirus vaccination drive today following the arrival of the first vaccines to the blockaded coastal area. Former health ministers and several medical workers were inoculated with Russia's Sputnik V jabs in front of dozens of cameras. More medical workers and patients with chronic diseases are to start receiving injections tomorrow. The area has received just 22,000 doses of vaccines, a tiny fraction of what is needed to immunize the Strip's 2 million people, including some 1.4 million people over age 18. The shortage of the vaccines in both the Gaza Strip and the West Bank stands in stark contrast to Israel, which is on pace to immunize almost all of its adult population in the coming weeks. More vaccines are expected to arrive in Gaza in the coming days. Gaza's health authorities have reported more than 54,000 coronavirus infections and 543 deaths. The Iranian government said today it would stop voluntary implementation of the International Atomic Energy Agency's additional protocol, which gives the UN watchdog extra access to Iranian site and information related to the country's nuclear activities. The move comes after the Iranian parliament approved a bill in December that would suspend some UN inspections of its nuclear facilities if European signatories failed to lift certain sanctions by this Tuesday. An Iranian foreign ministry spokesman said both sides agreed that for the next 3 months, surveillance cameras set up by the IAEA at Iranian nuclear facilities would continue to film, but IAEA would not have access to their recordings. Under the additional protocol with Iran, the IAEA collects and analyzes hundreds of thousands of images captured daily by the sophisticated surveillance cameras. The agency had placed 2,000 tamper-proof seals on nuclear material and equipment. Migrants trying to cross from North Africa to Europe have been found hiding inside a container of recycled glass and a bag of ash. Authorities made the discovery on Friday in the Spanish port enclave of Melilla on the tip of Morocco. Spain's Civil Good released a video today showing an officer unearthing 4 people who had been hidden under glass bottles and another person inside a bag of toxic ashes. A total of 41 people were found hiding among the port's cargo, including inside containers, trucks and vehicles. Thousands of migrants each year attempt to reach mainland Spain via Melilla and Ceuta two small Spanish territories in Morocco. So far this year, police said they have identified 1,781 people attempting to cross irregularly through Melille's port area. Alfa Romeo Racing officially launched their 2021 Formula One car in Warsaw, Poland today. The team have retained their driver lineup of Kimi Räikkönen and Antonio Giovinazzi for the third consecutive season. Alfa Romeo will bid to improve on their 8-point total secured in 2020, but a number of rules changes are expected in Formula One for the upcoming season, which will include modifications to the car setup and the introduction of a team budget cap. Räikkönen said the rule changes mean that they operate in an area of unknown, but both and the Giovinazzi were excited about the potential of their new car. The new Formula One season begins with the Bahrain Grand Prix from 26th to the 28th of March.
It's a great pleasure to welcome to the stage.
After 139 years at 807 Franklin Street in San Francisco, a two-story Victorian house has a new address. The new home with the large windows and a brown front door was loaded onto giant dollies and moved on Sunday to a location 6 blocks away. The structure rolled at a top speed of 1 meter per hour to 635 Fulton Street. The house's journey has been in the planning stages for years. Veteran house mover Phil Joy said he had to secure permits from more than 15 city agencies. He said that the move was tricky, in part because the first part of the journey involves going downhill. Along the route, parking meters were ripped off, tree limbs were trimmed, and traffic signs were relocated. The owner of the 6-bedroom house, San Francisco broker Tim Brown, will pay about $400,000 in fees and moving costs. Weeks of frigid temperatures have left Niagara Falls encrusted in ice. Visitors in the Buffalo side of the falls were treated to spectacular views yesterday as a rainbow appeared overhead. The forecast for today predicted more snow and a temperature high of 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Niagara Falls is a group of 3 waterfalls at the southern end of Niagara Gorge, spanning the border between the province of Ontario in Canada and the state of New York in the United States. Niagara Falls is famed for its beauty and is a valuable source of hydroelectric power. Balancing recreational, commercial and industrial uses has been a challenge for the stewards of the falls since the 19th century. Niagara Falls was formed when glaciers receded at the end of the Wisconsin glaciation, and water from the newly formed Great Lakes carved a path through the Niagara Escarpment en route to the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq greets the Emperor of Japan on his birthday and greets the Sultan of Brunei and the President of Guyana on their respective countries' National Day. A cooperation program is signed to connect higher education graduates with the labor market needs. And Authority for Public Services Regulations affirmed that the new approved tariff for electricity is implemented gradually from the beginning of this year. And with the end of tonight's news bulletin, we would like to remind you one more time to keep following the precautionary measures of wearing face masks, washing hands and keeping physical distance from one another. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night and stay safe.